This build is sponsored by Wood to Works, where you can get quality woods for your lutherie, turning, and carving needs. They ship worldwide and have a great service to help you choose through their great selection.
Hi everyone, so welcome back. So as you can see right now, I'm just meeting up the soundboard with the side, but I'm not gonna sand too much. I want to have the bottom side as well before I do the top, bottom and side together. So I just want to remove like the 16th that's left and have like something that I'm not gonna get caught on anything. So that's what I'm doing right now. As you can see, I've got some merchandise now in my store, so you can get a t-shirt available in big array of colors and sizes. And I also have the other logo, the previous logo that I had for my channel. And you can get either V-necks or a contour one like this one. So I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in purchasing one of those t-shirts. And so we're going to move on with the video right away. So in this video we'll see all the steps that I took to get this glued onto the rim. I'm not going to make a next video on sanding the edges. It's basically pointless, I think. It's just a lot of sanding, and I don't think that there would be a lot of use to that. But for this section, what I did is prep all the kerf lining, so everything was on the same height. There's a big controversy on those, so I'm sure I'll see that in the comment section. Those are gauze that are glued on the inside. A lot of people say they add weight. The nice thing is I was weighing every piece now, so I know I've added 14 grams, which is basically half an ounce once it's dried. So I know it's not a lot of weight for the amount of strength this will add to the instrument. The big thing is for those is that when there's a lot of tension with the string and the bridge onto the soundboard, what happens is like the weakest part of the soundboard tends to either crack, check, or so by adding those I prevent that from happening. Also they will add a bit of stiffness to the soundboard, and then by adding my tone bars after, I can actually tune the soundboard with them instead of having to add those after for a repair or a cleat, because some people when it breaks, like they add a cleat, which is a little piece of wood with the grain oriented perpendicular to the actual soundboard, that's going to keep the crack from opening a bit more. So sometimes you see inside instruments like little square blocks or diamond shaped blocks that are glued in certain areas, and those are usually weaker points, and they're trying to prevent. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to prevent that from happening. I'm sure I'll see comments in the video saying like, oh, why did you do that, this and that, but this is the way I make my own instruments, and that's not something I want to reopen to end up like maybe in 5, 10, 20 years, who knows. It's not something I would like to see coming back in my shop just because I didn't do that. That's something I applied also on my octave mandolin build. So as you were able to tell, the sound of that instrument was really good. So this is where we're at for that, and you'll see how I did those. So basically right now it's just cleaning up all the inside and getting everything ready for the tone bars and sanding the outside. So without any further ado, we're gonna get started on this section of the build.
So I just marked out the location of the bridge. So the bridge will be sitting here somewhere, like such. This is not the bridge for this instrument, but just to give you an idea. And then we want the point, the inside point usually lines up with the bridge itself. It might change a bit once we do the intonation. It might like move a bit this way or this way, but generally speaking it lines up. So now what I want to do is figure out where I want to have this, and I also have the width of my bridge that's going to be a bit wider than this one. So I did find where I was going to locate it width-wise. So what I was looking at is where this is going to end up, because I don't want it too close to the actual curve, and the curve being stopping somewhere around here. That gives me enough room. So what I'm going to do is trace it out, and I want to line up my lines. And now I made a measurement from the center to this side. Like I measured where this one was going to be, and then I measured to the other side, and that's where I'm gonna align this one following the same line as the other side, so they match. Okay, so I flipped the plate upside down, and redid a center line where my bridge is going to be across, and then with that I was able to retrace that on the inside of the instrument, so that way I know the location. And I didn't do the full trace, I just did the top, the sides, and the bottom, just to have an idea on both sides. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some strengthening pads. So basically what those are is a layer, so like a gauze that you glue on the inside. And this is nothing new, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, what am I doing? This is the kind of material that is used when your instrument has a big crack and needs to be repaired, or it's checking, or so. It's common practice among people that repair instruments. So why am I putting that right now? It's because it adds stiffness, and I want to be able to tune my instrument, tune the plates with those in place already. So that way I can tune the plate with the extra stiffness. So I'm going to add those here, and that's where all the holes are going to be cut out, and you don't see it, like it just disappears underneath. It adds stiffness, and it protects it from splitting where the apertures are going to be. As for adding weight, we'll be able to check that, because like I mentioned, I was at 270 grams, and then once those are added, I'll be able to take another weight. So now I'm gonna check the location, then I'm gonna mark the corners to be able to put the glue. So here I can already tell this is where the line of my curve is. Like if you remember in the previous video, I had a line going all the way around to show me where the curve was going to be. So I'm going to have to cut a bit of that corner here to accommodate that.
So I got the dry fit done right now, and it's pretty exciting to be able to hear the plate response, because it's actually touching everywhere, so it's actually stable all around. Excuse my heater right now. I'm heating up the shop obviously for the glue up that's coming up, so that's the background sound you're hearing. So now what I'm going to do is trace all around the excess. Like I've got about an 8 here and maybe a 16th, and then at the bottom here it gets more to like a fat 3/16. So I'm gonna mark that, and then I'll be able to sand that before I actually do the glue up. Now in order to trace underneath, there's not a lot of space, so I'm using a piece of lead that you can get from one of those carpenter pens. So I'm using the lead from the inside, and then I'm going to go around the whole thing, holding it with my pliers, and trace the whole surrounding of the plate. Another thing I like to do is, because now my clamps are in a position that leaves no gap, like I move them around to see the best fit. So I'm gonna like put a little layout on top of the plate, just to give me an idea of where they were. Because once the glue squeezes out, you can't really always see the gaps. So that gives me a rough idea of where they need to be. So you can see the line right here. So that's all the extra. So that could technically be removed after the glue up. I just like to remove most of it prior to it, because that diminishes the amount of work that needs to be done. And you can see here there's quite a bit as well. So something we have to be very careful with is the line across that I added here. That's from my template that I got from my blueprint. The neck starting here, going this way with the scale that I want, which is the line that I put for my for locating the apertures. If I move this plate here, like in the wrong position, that will change the location of that line, which means that my bridge might not be where it's supposed to be. So I want to make sure that my front of the plate is right on the edge of that line. That's my main concern after having the plate centered onto the rim. You may have noticed that we still see the lines here on my apertures. That's because I don't want to give more, like you probably can see the flex that we have here. I usually cut those with the rim already glued on, but because of the width of those rims and the size of my coping saw, that would have been like a nightmare to cut. So I did cut them and was very careful with my cutting, but the refining will be done after I've got some extra support here on by the rim. With the rim attached, I'm gonna have a lot more support here to finalize those. So now we're ready to do the glue up.
So thank you all again for stopping by and watching this video on the Mandocello. I want to take a minute to thank Bow River Woodworks once again for providing the wood for this build. I'm really grateful. Go check them out. You have the address here and in the description. So if you're watching this in real time, we're just after Christmas, so I want to wish everybody a great holiday season. Be careful on the roads. I want to thank, this year's been amazing. I went from, I think it was about 6,000 and I just reached 12,500 subscribers.
So thank you for everybody that's been following along from the get-go, and welcome to everybody that's a newer subscriber. Really grateful. Don't forget to check my Facebook, Instagram. I just added Patreon as well. We've got the merchandise that you can look in the description box down under the video. And until next time, I wish you well.